Hello everyone, welcome to LSA 2023. My name is PrimroseOfSterra and I will be speedrunning Affogato for everyone. Now, this is a relatively new game. It came out August 2023 and I'm currently the only speedrunner of this game. So I'll be showing a lot of cool stuff about this mixture of a coffee shop simulator and the best part, reverse tower defense. Before we do so, I do need to show that that I have a save file here that's around 6 hours, and that's because I have to basically finish certain parts of the game in order to unlock a couple of things. But mainly it's the ability to skip certain cutscenes, and when I mean by skip, it will be basically just fast forwarding through entire cutscenes. So a bit of a disclaimer, please avert your eyes during the cutscene skip because it gets a bit too flashy for a lot of people. Other than that, I am ready to start. So the time will start in 3, 2, 1, go. Alright, first things first, we're going to do is we're going to be spawned into the first reverse tower defense, which is basically a tower defense, but instead of us being the towers, we're the units traveling through the entire labyrinth. And this labyrinth is mainly serving as like the person's mind, and we're basically what these towers represent is the demons that are inhibiting the person's mind. So as we're going through this entire area, we are killing these demons in order to save the person from being possessed by demons, and that's the entire thing. So we're gonna do a small skip, which is known as chariot skip, if I can pull it off. Ah, damn. That's so fine. It's so fine we can't pull it off, but it basically allows us to skip a tutorial. It doesn't waste a lot of time, but it's okay. So we're just gonna traverse through this entire labyrinth. And it's basically a large tutorial section and a sort of an auto-scroller, although you can change the pathing as you can see here using the yellow arrows. And I'm basically doing a path that gets to the boss as quickly as possible, while also be doing as less actions as possible, and that's okay. I forgot about that arrow, but it's okay. There we go. Should be still fine. But effectively, the entire game is about trying to do as less as possible while being able to kill the boss at the end of each labyrinth. So we're getting to the end point here. Oh, my control thinking it wasn't working there, but it's okay. And let's move on to the... Well, I'd say the actual first boss. This is actually a preface of the first boss of this entire category, or the only boss in this entire category, and we get to fight it immediately. But unfortunately, this boss is unwinnable, so we're just gonna try to die as quickly as possible. So we want to... There's still a couple of strategies around this. We want to keep into this red area over there so that my unit will die faster. And there we get to a flashback, or more of like a time rewind sort of deal, because the game wants us to start from the very beginning. So we get to our first preview of the daily life in Affogato, which is similar to Persona 5's daily life, except it's more of a side scroller than more often not. And instead of us being a high school student, we're a coffee shop owner. So speaking of being another coffee shop owner, let's actually get to the coffee shop right now. So there are a lot of references in this game, and I think you're going to see the first one. This guy is a doctor. His name is Dr. Dave House. Yes, that house, but anyways, he's our landlord, so he basically charges us rent to open this entire coffee shop right here, which is dark, so we have to turn on the lights. So our main character is basically this magenta haired lady called Affogato. Just remember, it's magenta, not red. And basically, she owns this coffee shop that we're opening right now. And the other girl that's with her is actually an archdemon, who is her partner. Her name is Mephista. Basically, think of Affogato as a witch who signs a contract with a demon. And there are basically two different types of witches. and she's a good witch, so she tries to save people from demonic possession. Well, at least she doesn't want to, she just wants to open a coffee shop for herself. Speaking of opening a coffee shop, let's actually make some coffee. The game will force us to do a small an auto-scroller on making coffee right now, so we're just gonna make coffee as quickly as possible. But it basically teaches us to create an Americano for the first time, so you can see that we first have to make an espresso, and then with a little bit of magic, we add some water, and bam, Americano. Now, it also asks us that we can optionally add seasoning, which will add some sugar to this espresso. So I do this Americano and make it a sweet Americano. And we get our first official customer. This is Natalie. She's a reporter. There's not much we can do with her, but just because she's part of like the side stories and all that, but she does want an Americano, so we're gonna give an Americano. Now that we have access to basically all our controls, and it's not auto-scroller, the coffee making is a little bit faster. So basically she's gonna do a lot of story talking, mainly just about the future parts of the run. Mainly it's gonna be there are a couple of students that have suddenly fallen into a coma, and they basically trying to investigate that. So now we're just gonna close the coffee shop. It's been a long day, and I see someone at the front. That's a drunk, apparently. So let's talk to him, see what's wrong with him. So he's not only drunk, but it seems that he also could be possessed by a demon. You can tell because when we unlock this thing known as Witch's Vision, we'll be able to see a green glow around him, which knows he's possessed by a demon. And we'll get to this next part, where we're going to go to his mind and basically free himself from the demon's control. So again, as I said before, we have to try to do as less actions as possible in this game, in each of the reverse tower defense sections, and obviously that saves time, but also because every action in this game wastes time in a way, because when you do something like play a card, like for example if I play this card, the game actually slows down, and when we do something like move these arrows to a different direction, the game actually slows down along with it. So by doing less actions, we actually try to save as much time as we can. Now we're also going to go through a secret path. Majority of the secret paths in this game actually do not have shortcuts, but this is the only exception so far where the secret path is actually faster than the normal path. And because it gets to the back door of the boss and we can access it, but it also allows us to pick up what is known as a memory. And that will be quite useful for the future fights. So we'll kill the boss here. And that is the quest done. So now we've freed the person from demonic control, and he is basically going to be... You will not know what happened to him. And after a hard day's work, we should go and take a rest. It's been a while. So let's go and take a rest right here, and Professor just basically tell us that how is the fight just now, and we just say it's a piece of cake, as it really is. And let's move on to the non-fights. So we're going to meet our own cast of characters right now as a coffee shop owner. First off, we're going to meet our first character. This is Aoi. And if you know the category name, you will know that we have to save her. And if you recognize her design from the first boss fight, you will know that she's the one that needs saving from the demon. So this next part, I'm going to thank Rupan, who is a member of the Affogato server, for finding out that you can actually give certain people specific drinks to skip certain cutscenes. So if we give Aoi a Coke, she actually doesn't force us to make her entire order. So we can basically skip her entire order by giving her a Coca-Cola. Now we're gonna meet Lindsay. She's a artist, if I remember. Actually, no. Yeah, she's either an artist or musician. I'm not so sure, but she would like a latte. We're not gonna give her a latte. We're just going to give her straight up milk. That one is also Rupan finding out that you could actually give them straight up Coke and straight up milk, and that would skip the entire section. In the previous runs I did, right, we mistakenly thought that you had to give Aoi espresso with Coke, which was a very how to say, a very cursed drink. So I'm very happy that Rupan actually found a way to get to basically serve them Coke instead of, you know, an abomination. Anyways, we'll get to the actual daily life of this game, where we basically improve our stats using by going to do daily events. So we can basically do to spend time in stores in order to get statistics, which are basically main for relations like in Persona 5, but we can also do the relationship events or do fights. So we're gonna go to the bookstore because it's the closest to the coffee shop, and we're gonna just, this is unskippable, so I have to mash my F and left click in order to go through this cutscene. So unfortunately that's the only way I can get past that. But going to the bookstore improves our intelligence. Not that it actually matters to the actual fight, but it does increase our relations with different members of the game. So now we're gonna meet our other witch. This is Sarah, another good witch. Basically, they have some sort of territorial stuff in the game. It's a bit too complicated to get, but notice that she has a friend and she asks us to do some stuff for her. So the first stuff she asks us to do is to make a mocha, which is one of the more complicated drinks in the game. Like so. And we're just gotta wait for this thing, but she's basically gonna ask us to do something in a place called Jubilee Arcade, which is unfortunately not an arcade, but it's more of like if like the roads in the game are basically named like specific things, and apparently the word arcade is the name of that street. It's like saying, since most of us are Singaporeans, it's like Newton Circus. It's not actually a circus, it's just a big circle. So it's around the same idea. So moving on, so basically she's gonna ask you to do a task, and we're gonna run our coffee shop for the first half of the day, and then we're gonna do the task after we run the first half of the day. So Aoi's back, and she's basically asked us to make her a flame strike. But of course, since we can't really make coffee, we might as well just give her a Coke in a coffee cup, by the way. Which I don't know if everyone here thinks that is a bit sacrilege, but sure. Just pouring out straight Coca-Cola into a coffee cup seems really weird. So, and I don't know if you could think about it, but it could also be just hot Coca-Cola, which is even worse to begin with. Sorry to put that thought into everyone's mind. Let's get to an actual fight this time instead of thinking about coffee a bit too much. So this is the end of the coffee making and the start of the mass fighting. So we're going to be doing a lot of tower defense stuff, and we need to basically find a guy. Let's hope he spawns in a good place. He did spawn in a good place. So there may be a time where he basically spawns too close to the edge, and then instead of going to talk to this guy, I would basically enter the store by accident sometimes. It's very annoying, but nothing too bad. So now the game is introducing a couple other mechanics. These are the key mechanics. Basically, we can access certain areas without a key. So we need to basically, well, we need to kill the enemy that holds the key icon right there in order to unlock the area. So you also notice that we have a new unit called the Hermit. Basically, the resources in this game are attained in two ways. First, killing the enemies that have a star icon gives you one resource, but cards like the Hermit also give you more resources as you kill enemies. So it is important to try to focus on killing enemies with the star in order to get enough resources, but really we only need the bare minimum amount of resources in order to clear the bosses, because we're only really going to be summoning 2 or 3 units each round. So we just need to make sure that the units A do not die, and B be able to be played to begin with, along with a couple of other stuff. So now we finished the task. We're going to talk to Sarah right now, and she's going to say, hey, good job, well done. We're going to actually, so that was the trial task, so let's get actually to the real task, which is going to be what this speedrun's going to be about, which is the first task. So the first task is basically saying about the coma students. They say that just suddenly students fall into a coma, and in order to do that, she wants us to investigate the school in order to find out what's causing these incidents. She can't do it herself because technically she's masquerading as the student council president in the school, and by poking her nose, she will basically draw in more suspicion. At least that's her explanation for it. So before we go to sleep, we need to go to this wardrobe and change to a school outfit, because the only way we can access the school is if we are an actually valid student, and the only way we can be a valid student is, well, we need the school uniform. So it's moving on to the next day, which is gonna be 4 fights, and basically there'll be 2 major story elements that's gonna happen. First of all, we're going to investigate 2 areas. The first of the areas is Grace Castle Academy, which is the school. And the task here is to basically talk to 4 students. These are the students that have animated eyes, so any eyeless students you just try to ignore, because that's not a frightening thought. So there are 3 of them. There are a bunch of them scattered all around, but the main thing is that there are 3 of them in the first floor, which I'm going to talk to right now. Well, the third one is right here, so I sort of memorized most of their positions. So I can either go to floor 2 or floor 3 for the 4th student. I'm going to go to floor 3 because it is more comfortable. And I have to go to the left side, I'll talk to this student right here. And good. And if you're also gonna wonder, there's this student over there. He doesn't count because apparently he's the one that tells you, oh, there's a folklore happening in the school, and it's actually not the quest NPC, so it's an actual bait. So now we've been led to this classroom, and we find that there is presence of a demon. You can see those purple glows, and we're gonna exercise the desk. So we've gone from exercising people to exercising inanimate objects now. So hold on, let's get this, and let's make sure that the path is fine. So mainly the idea is to make sure that we get to the path as fast as possible. So mainly we're just gonna be waiting for the units to finish their fight. And these guys are not much of a worry. These ones that shoot lasers in front, they are not much of a worry in easy mode. In later modes, they are much of a worry, and we have to path around them, but not much because we're just trying to rush towards the enemies themselves. So majority of the first part is basically getting towards the end demon boss and finishing them off. So that's the first one. We have cleared the demons in the desk. Now we're going to clear the demons in the cupboard. So before we do that though, let's get to card upgrades. So as we clear in stages, we basically have these soul shards that basically allow us to buff our units. And we're gonna invest in them now. Because if we don't, then we wouldn't be able to kill the next few enemies that we need to kill in one fell swoop. So we have the path in a specific area. Let's go there. And these are the enemies I thought about. If we didn't upgrade, these enemies cannot be killed that easily. And that being said, I did mess up a bit. It's okay. Just go back and clear them. But let's get that. I'm supposed to target the enemies and I forgot, but it's okay. It's still fine. And don't worry much about their health. The health doesn't really matter that much, so as long as they can get to the edge and basically be able to kill them, everything should be fine. So let's see about that, and bam, that's a kill. And we just talk. So we basically find 2 fragments of a picture, and we need the center fragment in order to find out what exactly is happening. So after these 2 fights, then we'll get to the hospital, which is the second location that we have to investigate. And in the hospital, we'll basically want to examine the comatose patients to see if there's any trace of demonic possession. So we'll go to our Aurora Memorial Hospital for that. And obviously we're just pretending to be a student council member so that we actually care about students in order to see what's happening with them, because apparently Sarah can't do it herself. And let's move on towards the hospital. By the way, Sani. And let's go to number 302. Alright, so we're going to look and see what's going on, and as expected, we have traces of a But before we continue, we do need to buy a specific card. This is mainly because we need to use this card for the next part, and let's do it. Now, let's talk about placements. Where I place my units is sort of important, and usually you want to place your units as far away as possible so that they can meet the enemies quicker. This is one of the exceptions I found that you actually don't want to do that, because these enemies here inflict a status effect called Charm, and Charm is a very annoying thing. It basically forces your units to attack one another, and for obvious reasons that is not really good. So I have to put in a specific order so as to take that the units take the least amount of damage from each other, while also dealing the most amount of damage to these units right there. And yeah, that's basically the entire gist of it. So we should have enough damage to clear this enemy. And this next part is going to be frame perfect. We cannot move up because the place hasn't been unlocked yet. So once this enemy dies, there we go. You get the up arrow immediately off the bat, and that's the enemy dead. So this is the more smooth way of clearing this boss, or rather this stage. And we get to our second comatose patient, who is in room 301. And this is one of the longer stages of the game. Actually, I think it is the longest stages of the... Sorry, not the longest stage of this category, because it's a... Well, there are 3 enemies that are scattered around, but they are scattered around in very remote locations. And we need to kill them one by one there, so let's begin. So we're gonna go towards the left side first, because I found the left side to be faster. And we are gonna charge into this section here, because the action of picking up a card in this game, which are these things right here, will actually take up an action. And we want to take as little actions as possible. Not enough damage, it's okay. This is a bit of experimental, so I kind of expect myself not to have them 100% down, and our guy died because of that, but it's okay, we just resummon him. So this is a weird thing, but the placement of where I go with this actually matters somewhat. I have to put it in this way or not, the guy would not die. I don't know the specific reason why it's like this, because actually is kind of weird why in the specific direction, because I tried both directions. Apparently one direction works better than the other, but I don't really question it now. So let's move on to this boss, and it will die quick. Now we got the center part of the picture, and we basically find out that the roof is the cause of these incidents, and we also know that Aoi is involved somehow. So we kind of expect that this entire comatose thing is because Aoi is currently the most popular girl in school, but prior knowledge of that led to believe the all of a sudden change in personality of the students towards her is kind of suspicious, and they suspect it's based on a demonic possession. So they are going to do something about this. But before we do something about it, it's getting late, so we're going to take a rest. So let's take a rest in our bed, and we're going to go and fight the boss finally. Now we get to the crux of the fight. So we're gonna go to the academy again, and we're gonna go straight to the school roof. Now, there are 2 staircases that go up, but only the right staircase can actually get to the roof, so we'll go immediately there. And let's get up slowly but surely. And that's 2 more. Last staircase, because staircases are everyone's favorite exercising tool. Alright, so let's get to the roof, and this is the suspicious door that he's talking about. We're going to deal with this right away. So in order to get to the actual boss, we need to exercise the door first, because that's how it works. Now this is the easiest fight, I think. Not even counting the tutorial fight, because it's really just a walk towards the boss deal. all the arrows have been placed around for us, so we just need to be able to survive these guys' attacks. So I need to make sure that I summon Strength, which is this unit, at like around here. And that should kill the boss, hopefully. If it doesn't, then we'll just get to that, I guess. There we go. Barely enough health, but we managed to take down the boss. It felt a bit early, but I'm glad it was actually pretty good. So let's go to the final fight, which is against the demon inside Aoi herself, which is the demon that you saw earlier. As we approach the final countdown. Alright, so we're back to our good friend Aoi here. We're gonna save her from the demon. Before we save her from the demon though, we do need to upgrade our units. So we got a bunch more soul shards for these fights, so we might as well max out Strength and Hermit while also giving Judgment, which is a damage unit. We basically need to use these 3 damage units for this fight. So let us do so, and immediately after that I need to summon both of them. And they are gonna go towards the boss. They're gonna deal as much damage. We basically want to be able to deal enough damage so that the red indicator doesn't do it, but I think we're a bit too late. We're really a bit late, so we might have to do the backup strat, I think, because the start was not fantastic, but I think it's still fine as long as we time it a bit better. So we'll just wait for a little bit. Alright. So I think we're just gonna do the safer mode because it's a bit easier. So we just need to make sure that we're dealing enough damage. We'll also get these cards that allow us to regenerate our health. I'm gonna use one immediately because I'm a bit afraid that that attack right there will one-shot them. But realistically, we only need these 3 units for this entire fight. So let's make sure that we get rid of that. So okay. Last phase. We're gonna let these guys have fun. They have to kill these big guys right here and then just wait a little bit longer. Now don't worry about the indicators, they don't really mean much in this fight because they don't deal enough damage to be much of a bother. We do need to kill this guy because he actually deals damage to our units. We're really cutting on the edge here, but I think we should have enough. I think Strength should be fine by herself. There we go, and time is going to happen after this cutscene and after I press continue. So time stops right around now. Okay, so that is the run of Affogato, and he's saving the first boss. There are a lot of cool stuff in this game. There are a lot of very innovative fights, and the music is really good as well. And it's such a joy to play this game multiple times, over and over again, to try to find new strategies towards the run. And yeah, we're gonna be getting to the cutscene where Affogato basically just saves Aoi from tripping and falling off the building. And it's a very touching moment for everyone. GG's guys. Anyways, I believe that will be it from me for this run. So please check Affogato out. It's a very fun game. I don't think it's on sale, but it's quite a great game. And the publisher for this game is from Spiral Games, and Spiral Games is a Singaporean company, and they are ones that have published a whole load of really fun games like this one. So be sure to also check out what they've done as well. Anyways, if nothing else, my name is PrimroseOfSterra, and thank you for watching.